Have you ever found yourself staring dead at the ceiling at 3 a.m., completely exhausted, when suddenly your brain decides to torture you with a horribly awkward thing you said exactly 5 years ago? Or maybe you are standing in the shower, angrily whispering to yourself, winning a fake argument with a coworker and realizing, I really should have said that. Why is it that when you need to remember a simple password, your mind goes completely blank, but it perfectly records every single frown, every slight shift in eye contact, and every sarcastic tone from a meaningless conversation, just to replay it on an endless loop in your head? You probably tell yourself that you are just overthinking. You might even feel a little crazy or weak. But here is the chilling truth. You are not broken. There is an ancient, primal survival mechanism, deeply wired into your biology, and right now, it is secretly holding your sleep hostage. Whenever you try to confide in someone about this late-night torture, what do they usually say? Just let it go. Stop overthinking it. It is really not a big deal. And every time you hear those words, a heavy wave of guilt washes over you. You start labeling yourself as too sensitive, too complicated, or just plain exhausting to be around. You force yourself to believe that something is fundamentally wrong with the way your mind works. But please listen to this very carefully. Your brain is not trying to punish you. It is actually acting like a desperate bodyguard, fiercely trying to protect you from unseen danger. When you finally lay down in the dark and the physical world goes quiet, a specific system in your brain called the default mode network instantly powers on. Think of it as your mind's autopilot. But instead of letting you peacefully drift off to sleep, it starts aggressively scanning your recent interactions for social threats. The late Yale psychologist, Dr. Susan Nolan Hoeksema, dedicated her work to studying this agonizing loop, calling it rumination. This is not just pointless worrying. To your primal brain, that awkward conversation or that slight shift in a coworker's tone was a puzzle it failed to solve. And until it figures out exactly where you went wrong, it will force you to chew on that memory again and again, desperately trying to keep you safe from ever making the same mistake twice. If this deeply resonates with you, there is something beautiful you need to realize before we go any further. This heavy psychological burden actually comes with an incredible hidden gift. You possess an exceptionally high level of emotional intelligence. You are the kind of person who notices the subtle shifts in a room that everyone else completely misses, because you calculate the weight of your words so carefully, both before you open your mouth and long after the conversation ends. You rarely cause pain to others. Your empathy is profound, and you are deeply considerate of how your actions impact the people around you. But the daily price you pay for this superpower is absolutely exhausting. You frequently become a hostage trapped inside your own mind. You spend hours analyzing a fleeting glance, a change in tone, or a slightly delayed text message, desperately trying to figure out if someone is secretly angry with you. You are intimately familiar with that frustrating psychological phenomenon known as staircase wit. It is that maddening moment when your brain finally delivers the absolute perfect, most brilliant response to a conversation, but you are already walking away and the moment passed hours ago. This creates a heartbreaking internal paradox that you live with every single day. By day, you play the role of the perfect, fully functioning adult. You are calm, you are collected, and you communicate with smooth, effortless confidence. People probably look at you and assume you have your entire life perfectly figured out. But the moment the sun goes down and you are finally alone in your bedroom, you transform into the harshest, most unforgiving judge of yourself. You put your own character on trial every single night, and the verdict is always guilty. Let us look at a man named Min to see how this plays out. Min is the person everyone loves at the company. During morning meetings, he nods enthusiastically. He smooths over team conflicts, and he makes sure everyone feels comfortable. He is the ultimate team player. But today, during a casual lunch break, Min made a very brief, slightly sarcastic joke about an upcoming project deadline. His boss let out a short, polite chuckle, and then quickly looked down at his phone to check a notification. To anyone else at that table, this was nothing. It was a completely meaningless, normal interaction. But for Min, that half-second of silence and that sudden glance at the phone became a psychological horror movie. That night, Min lies awake in bed for 2 solid hours. His heart races in the dark. He completely forgets the 5 brilliant, helpful ideas he contributed during the morning meeting. His brain deletes all of his achievements and only forces him to watch that 1 second of his boss looking away, replaying it from different angles over and over again. He is genuinely terrified that he just ruined his reputation and his career over one stupid, harmless joke. The contrast between Min's peaceful, smiling exterior during the day and the violent, anxious storm ripping through his mind at mind is completely exhausting. And the hardest part of all is that he fights this terrifying battle in total silence, while the rest of the world sleeps. So why exactly does your brain do this to you? To understand this, we have to look deep into a tiny almond-shaped structure inside your head called the amygdala. This is your brain's ancient alarm system. Millions of years ago, for our prehistoric ancestors, being embarrassed or judged by the tribe was not just an uncomfortable feeling, it was a literal death sentence. If you were rejected and kicked out of your group, you simply would not survive alone in the wild. Because of this, your amygdala evolved to treat any social mistake as a matter of life or death. When you are replaying a conversation in the dark, your primal brain is just desperately analyzing what went wrong, trying to ensure you never make a mistake that could get you abandoned by your community. But biology is only half of the story. The other half was quietly written during your childhood. The British psychologist John Bowlby explored this deeply through his work on attachment theory, revealing how our earliest relationships build the blueprint for our adult minds. If you grew up in a home that felt emotionally unpredictable, perhaps your parents had sudden outbursts of anger, or their moods shifted constantly without any warning, your developing brain had to adapt just to survive. You developed a psychological response known as hypervigilance. As a small and helpless child, your only defense mechanism was to turn yourself into a highly sensitive human radar. You learned to constantly scan the room, carefully reading the slightest changes in facial expressions, shifts in breathing, or the tone of a voice to predict if an emotional storm was coming. You did this to keep yourself safe. And the heartbreaking truth is, your physical body grew up, but that tiny, terrified radar never turned off. Today, you are unconsciously using that exact same childhood survival tool on your boss, your friends, and the rest of the world. While it is deeply comforting to know that your brain is just trying to keep you safe, we absolutely cannot romanticize this trauma response. Because right now, this ancient defense mechanism is quietly destroying you. We have to draw a very clear line between healthy self-reflection and toxic rumination. Self-reflection is gentle and purposeful. It asks, what can I learn from what happened this morning? It has a clear goal, and most importantly, it brings you closure. Rumination, on the other hand, screams, why am I always so stupid and awkward? It is a dark, endless loop with absolutely no exit door. It is not problem-solving. It is purely emotional self-punishment. If you let this mental movie theater run every single night, it will violently erode your core self-esteem. It feeds directly into imposter syndrome, making you constantly feel like a total fraud who was just one bad joke away from being exposed and abandoned. It leaves you emotionally drained and chronically sleep-deprived. You must realize that by pouring all of your precious mental energy into a past you cannot change, you are simply stealing the peace and reality of your present moment. Continuously forcing your brain to replay these old conversations is exactly like forcefully rewinding an old audio cassette tape. The harder you press the rewind button, the more distorted and terrifying the sound becomes. The memory gets twisted, the tape gets tangled, and you just end up deeply scratching the fragile surface of your own mind. Here's the most liberating truth you can hold on to tonight. Every single person you interacted with today is completely exhausted, and they are desperately busy rewinding their own messy tapes in the dark. Absolutely no one is analyzing your tiny mistakes because they are too busy judging their own. It is finally time to forgive the version of you from that day. With the emotional tools and the knowledge you had in that exact moment, you truly did the best you could. You are safe now. So please, take a deep breath and finally turn off the projector in that mental movie theater. If you also stayed awake last night staring into the dark, just because of a single sentence you said years ago, please leave a comment down below so we both know we are never truly alone in the dark. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and become a member so we can continue to decode the hidden corners of the human mind together. Click the video on your screen right now to uncover exactly why you push people away when you actually need them the most.